All right, welcome to the Oregon Ducks Live on the Voice of College Football. I'm Bjorn Bergstrom.
I'm Brody Gobler.
And I'm Brendan Everly.
Alrighty, on this episode, we're going to be discussing National Signing Day. The Ducks signed a pretty good class, I'd say. And then we're going to be doing a quick preview of the conference championship games that matter. We're going to be going through that. Then we're going to provide our best bet for Ohio State, Indiana, the Big Ten championship game. And then, we'll finish up with a lot of recruiting, and Brendan's going to go pretty deep in on that. So you guys ready to get started? All right, let's get into it. So the first conference championship game that we'll break down is North Texas versus Tulane. It's at 5 o'clock tonight, so right after you're done listening to this pod, you can tune into that. So it's a big quarterback battle, honestly. It's Drew Mestemaker, North Texas, and Jake Retzlaff from Tulane. Winner, it's looking like the winner's going to make it to the college football playoff.
Probably play Oregon.
So, yeah, I could play Oregon. So it's a big one. You guys want to pick our winner for that? We can go around the circle.
Yeah, I think what?
Never mind. You go.
All right, I think I'm rocking with Mestemaker and North Texas. I think both coaches are 1 foot out the door. So I'm just gonna rely on the quarterback talent, and it'll be a fun one to watch.
Brendan?
I'm taking Tulane, man. Give me Jake Retzlaff, former BYU legend. Unfortunate situation happened with him earlier this year. He was looking to be like a Heisman favorite beginning of the year. But unfortunately went to Tulane, which no Tulane quarterback's ever going to win the Heisman. But I think Tulane's got it. They have a nice tight end, a nice backup tight end in Ty Thompson. They should win. Should win. Ducks legend Ty Thompson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think Ty Thompson's a Duck legend. I don't think Retzlaff is a BYU legend. That's for sure. But I'm going to go with North Texas. That's sort of a rooting interest as well. I think their offense is just going to be too much for Tulane. I don't think Tulane can keep up with them. Mestemaker, he's the real deal, and I'm excited to watch him. So I'm going with Tulane. BYU, Texas.
North Texas.
What's up? Or North Texas. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
There you go.
Texas.
It's like, okay.
Yeah. Whoops, slipped up there. And next one, BYU, Texas Tech. Texas Tech won this matchup in the regular season. They kind of dominated them. This is a sort of a play-in playoff game for BYU. If they win, they're going to be in. Texas Tech, they're probably going to be in with a loss as well, but they could secure a first-round bye with a win. Brody, who you got?
Texas Tech obviously dominated this game already. They got a Heisman hopeful to get to New York at least. Their defense is elite. I do think that this will be closer to the regular season. I would take BYU spread. That being said, I think the spread is too much to overcome. BYU is getting shafted by the committee, but that's a point for another time. I'll take Texas Tech in this one.
I mean, yeah, I'm going to take Texas Tech. Jacob Rodriguez is Heisman hopeful. He's a beast. He's a good player. He really leads the defense. And he scored a touchdown a couple weeks ago. BYU they're overrated. They're not very good. I'll be honest with you. They're going to Brady says the cover, but I don't think so. BYU's not a good team. I'm sorry.
So you got Tech. I'm with Brody here. I think BYU is going to cover. I think it'll be a close physical game. It's very tough to beat the same team twice. Ultimately, I think Texas Tech is going to come out with the win, but I think it'll be close. I think BYU could build a lead early, and Texas Tech has to fight back, but I think the Red Raiders, they get it done. They'll get a first-round bye, and that'll almost ensure that Oregon gets the 5 seed and first-round playoff game. So, yeah, we'll see about that. But
Georgia could lose.
That is true. So that's our next one. That's Georgia and Alabama, 1 p.m. on Saturday. Stakes are very high. Alabama, they're at 10, right? Or they jumped to 9. So it's kind of the committee has a choice to make whether they kind of hurt them for getting in the conference championship game. If they lose, they'd have 3 losses. But Georgia, they're a formidable team. Ground game, they're more physical than Alabama, I would say. Brody, who you got?
Kirby Smart, zone 2 against Kalen DeBoer. 1-7 against Alabama. The only win coming in the national championship. He just can't get over, if the other team's wearing red, he just gets scared. He doesn't coach the same. I don't know what it is, but Alabama, Ty Simpson, a little overrated. He is a great quarterback. They don't have a consistent rushing attack. I'm going with the dogs here. Let's go Georgia.
Ooh, that's
Kirby
not a bad
Smart
take.
finally gets it done against his arch nemesis, Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, I mean, DeBoer is not a bad coach. I mean, he's got a pretty good track record against Dan as well, Dan the man. But with all that being said, Alabama has played like garbage the last few weeks. They've not played well. But it is the SEC championship, and some crazy things happen. Georgia, they have if they win, they have a bye week, which is a dangerous situation. We cannot be letting those Georgia drivers on the road on a Saturday. Nobody's driving around Athens. Nobody's driving around Athens at any point. So I think Kirby Smart's keeping that in mind. So he might choke this game away. So give me Alabama. I'm taking Bama.
Oh.
Interesting. I think Bama will keep it close. I think it's SEC championship game, so Alabama's always going to be in it.
Flip.
Yeah. I think it'll be a coin flip, and I don't trust Gunnar Stockton, honestly. With the game on the line, I trust Ty Simpson more. Even though they don't have a great rushing attack, I think Ty Simpson, that Jeremy Bernard, the receiving attack, Ryan Williams, if he shows up. But they have their third rank. Yeah, that's true. They have a third string running back, but I don't think it'll matter too much. They already couldn't run anyways. So I'm taking Alabama. So next one, Big Ten championship game. This one's huge. Number 1, Ohio State. Number 2, Indiana. They haven't played yet in the regular season. So this is a de facto, national championship preview, if you will. Brody, what are your thoughts on this game?
Obviously Ohio State as one of the best receiving corps, probably the best receiving corps in the entire country. Saying is one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in the entire country. But Indiana is
not even top 5.
Is right there. They got Mendoza, they got their 2 stud receivers. But I just think Ohio State does everything Indiana does. It's just a little bit better. So I'm gonna go with Ohio State.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think that Ohio State is the better team. They have more talent, with especially defensively. Like, their defense is really good. But I think Indiana is the better coach team. They played. I mean, they beat Oregon at Oregon this year. Like, they were good. Like, they played a flawless game to beat us. And Curt Cignetti seems like the kind of guy to play flawless regularly. So I think I'm going to take Indiana to pull off the upset here. I think Ohio State's a little bit unproven. They haven't really been punched in the mouth besides against Michigan, if you want to even call that being punched in the mouth. Like, I mean, Fresh Underwood on pace for 10 touchdowns this year. I mean, that's a real formidable QB opponent. But I just think that Ohio State, they might not get off rolling the same way that they have been against all these bad teams, and I think that'll stress them out. And I don't know if Ryan Day is the kind of leader of men that I want to have when it comes to that, where I'd rather have Curt Cignetti. A close game, I think Curt Cignetti is going to find a way to pull through, whereas I think a Ryan Day coach team, in a lot of close games, they don't pull through. It doesn't happen very often. I don't know. Thoughts, Bjorn? What are your thoughts?
I'm with you 100%. I think this is the year for Indiana. Last year they were kind of the upstart, and they learned a lot from that. But this is a completely different team. Cignetti has them confident, playing tough, physical. That defense is for real. I think they're not at the caliber of Ohio State, but that offense is what puts them over the top. I trust Mendoza over Sayin. I think Mendoza's the playmaker, Sayin's the game manager, and I think this is where it kind of shows when they're playing against each other in Indianapolis. And honestly, if they play in the national championship game, it's going to be real interesting about who has to beat who twice, if it comes down to that. So I think that's another interesting subplot of this game. So we can transition to our best bets. We're
forgetting the most important championship game of them all, Bjorn.
Oh, what are we?
The ACC championship,
Ah,
Duke versus
I was
Virginia,
I was gonna
5
get into
p.m.
that
on
after.
Saturday.
Since we're on Indiana Ohio State, we might as well get to our best bets right then.
Let's do the bets, and then we'll do
Yeah.
Duke,
Then we'll break down the
Virginia.
most important one.
We'll go real in depth there.
Yep. Okay.
All right,
so my pick, I picked Indiana to win, but my bet will be plus 4.5. That gives them the ability to lose on a game-winning field goal, and you still cash that bet. So I think that's a safe one right there. Brody?
Yeah, well, I'm going the opposite way. I'm going Ohio State minus 4.5. I think they're just better at every position. I think they'll come up with a better game plan than Oregon. I don't think they're going to get cute. I think they beat Indiana by more than 4.5, so 5 points or more.
Yeah, my bet was under 46.5 points. I think it's going to be a defensive matchup. I do not trust Ohio State's offense. I think Bo Jackson's a solid running back. I don't think he's anything special. And to be honest with you, Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate have been kind of injured, so that they haven't been up to full strength. So I don't think the offense of Ohio State's going to be as potent as usual. And especially, I just don't believe in Julian Sayin yet. I haven't seen any sort of it factor. Yes, he's in the Heisman race. Yes, he has great numbers, but he kind of reminds me of a guy like Dylan Gabriel, who was in the Heisman race, but it's not like Dylan Gabriel wasn't going to go out there and take over a game and win you the game. Like, that's kind of how I feel about Julian Sayin. Like, he's just kind of there. Everybody hears about Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, but then, Jeremiah Smith is Julian Sayin is supposed to be this superstar QB, but there's not a ton of buzz around him outside of him just being a Heisman contender. So I think the defenses are going to really shine in this game. So I'm going to take the under. And yeah, I'm still picking Indiana. Indiana's going to win that game.
I like your Dylan Gabriel comparison. I think I could offer one that is even more accurate. I think Mac Jones is a good one. He's just a dealer of the football. He's got all those weapons on the outside, and he capitalizes on having those weapons, or scoring the touchdowns, having the big numbers, but may not have all that talent all in him.
Well, and the other thing is like, that's a great point, because like Devontae Smith that year won the Heisman. Why are we not talking about Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith in the conversation? We're looking at Julian Sayin, who is over an 80% completion percentage. Completion percentage is a cool stat, but nobody really cares. It's not that important. Like, just because you're completing a ton of your passes, that doesn't have a ton of value. Like, are we talking about deep passes? Are we talking about intermediate passes? Or are these all, short checkdowns, which was kind of Dylan Gabriel's situation? Like, I just haven't seen anything special from Julian Sayin. I mean, in his biggest game of the year so far, it was against Michigan, and he threw a terrible interception to start the game. Like, I just don't feel you can trust that. You just can't trust that kind of guy to go out there and lead your team. Like, I could genuinely name you 5 quarterbacks that I think are much, like, not just better, but like much better than him. Like, he's just not great. He doesn't have an it factor.
I don't know. I think y'all selling Sayin short, dude. He is not Mac Jones. Julian Sayin is like, I'm a Patriots fan. I watch Mac Jones. I watch his highlights coming out.
Mac Jones in college, Brady. You didn't watch Mac Jones in college.
I know, in college. He was great in college. He had great receivers, but just like, I think Sayin's a lot more talented than Mac Jones ever was. He's a redshirt freshman starting at Ohio State. Mac Jones was a redshirt senior, and like he's doing better than Mac Jones did at Alabama. So I don't know. I think Sayin's a lot more talented than you guys are giving him credit for. I don't think he's better than Mendoza necessarily, but I think he's on the same tier in my book.
He just doesn't have an X factor. He's not taking over a football game, like, never. Like,
he makes good decisions, but it's not
for sure,
talent wise.
But Mendoza against Penn State, he drove his team down the field to win the game. Julian Sayin is never ever going to do that unless it's Jeremiah Smith making a play or Carnell Tate making a play. Like,
and who's gonna give him the ball, Brendan?
Julian Sayin. But Julian Sayin's not the one making the play. Like, you have to realize
half the play. Or it's more than that. It's 33% of the play. You got the O-line, that's 33, and then you got the receivers. I would argue it's 25-25, and then 25 is the play call.
There's
so
also
everyone plays in a role.
There's no threat of Sayin on the ground either. He has like 20 rushing yards this year, and Mendoza has a couple handful of rushing touchdowns. You got to account for his legs, the long strides. I think that adds to it as well.
Yeah, Julian Sayin he just sits back there and just throws the ball around. Like, yes, he's great at it. But
the ball never hits the ground.
I want to see him get pressure.
cares?
I want to see him
Yeah.
play these great teams, great defenses, and see how he reacts. And then I think we have a better vision.
And that's
of
what was happening with Oregon last year with I don't know, Brady, I don't know how you're like completely ignorant to this, because we watched Dylan Gabriel play a full season at Oregon, and these were all of our complaints. If you ask Ohio State fans about Julian Sand, they're not in love with him. Like, they like him, but he's not going to just all of a sudden just take over a game and win you a game. He doesn't have a Heisman moment. Like, you watch great
that situation
quarterbacks.
yet.
You watch great quarterbacks make great plays. Dante Moore has done it multiple times. We watched Mendoza do it. Like, any of these QBs make great plays. You've never ever once gone on social media and seen, oh my God, Julian Sand, what a throw. You see Jeremiah Smith, what a catch. Or Carnell Tate, what a catch. Like, yes, he's the one throwing the ball, but he's not like throwing it to like open, like his players are going up and making the play. Like, that's the difference.
He's giving them an opportunity to. I don't know. We got to see him in the situation before we say anything. But
just because you give your guys an opportunity doesn't make you a great player. Like, in fact, I would argue that doesn't make you a good player at all. Like, you're doing what you're supposed to do. Give your guys a chance. Like, that's the bare minimum.
And he does what he's supposed to do the vast majority of the time. So does that not make him a great player?
No, he's doing what he's supposed to do. That's the bare minimum. That makes him a solid player.
He's better than Will. I'm more scared of saying than I was of Will Howard. Will Howard.
No chance. Will Howard had an it factor. Yeah, Will Howard had an it factor. He went out there and got stuff done. That's why I hated him.
Yeah,
like I hated Will Howard.
He could rip the ball out there.
Like, I hated Will Howard because he had an it factor. Julian Sand is like, all right, cool, man, you exist. Like, nobody, like, you know what I mean? Like, nobody's just like Will Howard. Like, people did not like him. He's not a likable. Like, people did not like him, and people liked him. Like, he was somebody who was a leader as well. Julian Sand is not like a leader. He just exists. I'm telling you, he's not good. Like, I would take Ty Thompson over him any day of the week. Like, Ty Thompson's a vocal leader. Like, he's made great plays.
Ty Thompson.
Sorry. Ty Simpson.
Oh, no, I would take Ty Simpson over him too. Don't get me wrong, but I think we're selling him a little bit short here.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, he's still a top 10 quarterback in the country. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying he's not top 5. I mean, if you want to call that selling him short, then sure. But
I think we can all agree that we're going to see. It's going to be interesting to see how he plays Saturday night. So that's something we'll be watching for. All right, if we want to get into the biggest game of all,
of course,
Duke and Virginia. Let's set the stage real quick. So Virginia, number 17 in the nation. If they win, they'll make the playoff. Probably as the 11th seed. They have losses to NC State and Wake Forest. They have a ranked win over number 8 Florida State. So that really is irrelevant. So Chandler Morris is their guy. 14 touchdowns, 7 picks. He's more potent on the ground. Jamari Taylor at running back, he's good too. 14 touchdowns. And then on the Duke side, they're 7-5 with losses to number 11 Illinois at home. They lost at Tulane versus number 12 Georgia Tech. They lost to UConn as well. And then they lost to Virginia 34-17 about a month ago. So this is a rematch of that. If they probably wouldn't make the CFP at 8-5. It'd probably be another group of 5 team. But Darian Mensah, he's definitely dangerous. I think he's the best player in this game. 28 touchdowns, 4 picks. Their running back, Shepard, he's formidable too. What are you guys' thoughts on this game?
I'm going to take the more talented team. I'm going to take the better story, the funnier moment. I'm taking the Blue Devils in this game, and I genuinely believe that they're actually going to win the game because they are probably the more talented team. And I just want them to win so bad. And I really do hope if they somehow pull it off that they make it would be a good debate between group of 5 of JMU loses their conference championship. I think it'd be funny if Duke got in the playoffs. So I'm rooting for that. Funniest outcome possible. That's what I'm rooting for.
Fair enough. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to take Duke as well. I actually think that Duke was actually one of my picks to win the ACC, believe it or not, early on in the year. When they're coming in, they actually had quite a bit of hype around them. And if you look at all 5 of their losses, yeah, they lost 5 times, but those are not like terrible losses. Like, what, 4 of those were ranked losses, and one of them's to UConn, who was like undefeated for most of the year and they got 3 or 4 guys that are hitting the portal that are going to be superstars at wherever they go. Like, that's 5 not bad losses at all. Virginia, I don't think that they're beating it. I don't think that they're winning twice. Like, I don't think so. So we'll have to see. But I'm taking Duke as well. I'm rocking with Birdie on this one. I like his take.
Okay. From a rooting perspective, I would like Duke to win because I just want chaos, and I think it'd be such a funny story. But I think Virginia's going to win. I think they're the better team. They beat them already. Chandler Morris, he's a real playmaker. He's not obviously as potent as Mensah through the air, but he gets it done. They have a lot of close wins. I think this is going to be another close game. I don't see any of these conference championship games being really blowouts. Mensah is going to keep him in it through the air, but Virginia, I trust them to pull it out. I think they're the better team, top to bottom. So I disagree with your take, Brendan, that Duke's the better team. But we'll see. And I think Virginia will take that number 11 spot and play number 6.
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, I think Virginia's low key on a Cinderella run. They've been good, but I don't know if their QB's good enough to step up in the big moments because, I mean, quarterback's a really important position in college. So give me Duke. I just think the Duke Blue Devils they got it. They have the it factor.
Mm-hmm. They do. You know what? How much aura you have to have as a team to make it a championship game at 7-5, Bjorn? You're overlooking this fact, okay? Duke is winning. Virginia's Mickey Mouse run is over. Duke University.
Then Wander TV gets it. Then Wander TV gets it.
If we're talking about aura, let's talk about Virginia's 3 overtime wins tonight or this season.
Yeah, they're fraudulent.
That takes guts. That's clutch.
Nah. The Cinderella run is over, man.
Yeah,
they're gonna talk with their pads.
That's true though. Like the 3 overtime wins, that's a sign of a Cinderella run right there.
Zen Wonder thinks Duke is where it's at. So
yeah, that's what I was saying.
I guess I'm in the minority here. We'll see. Mm-hmm. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right. What's next on the docket here?
Recruiting, Brendan. I'll set the stage real quick. So, Ducks reeled in the number 2 class in 2026 behind USC. But that comes with a caveat as USC had 35 players versus Ducks signing 21. We thought there was a chance it could be 22 this morning with Chris Henry Jr., but he spurned the Ducks, I think that personally puts into question his motive behind kind of waiting this 2 days. Could have been a little money involved, asking for more. But yeah, he went to Ohio State, so that wraps up the class. 5 stars, according to 247 Sports Composite. I'll turn it over to you, Brendan. You got some player comps, player breakdowns.
Yeah, I do. I'll touch on the Chris Henry stuff just briefly. I mean, yes, money was involved in the situation. Oregon offered, I believe, a little bit more than Ohio State. But the other thing that happened was Brian Hartline ended up leaving to go to USF, which that was a big thing for him. I actually think he made the right decision waiting a little while to decide because, listen, as much as I would have loved to have had him at Oregon, and I think he would have been a great fit in our offense, and I think he's a stud. Like, he would have been probably the best player that we signed, and I love all the guys we signed, all the players we signed, but he would have been the best guy that we would have signed. I think he made the right decision by allowing himself to think and realize where he wanted to go. So best of luck to him at Ohio State. Hopefully we don't have to play him very often, but I think he's going to be a great player. But so the way this is going to work is I did some player comps. I did some evaluations on the top 7 guys according to Rivals. And I'm just going to work our way down here. So first of all, we signed Manny Nacho, Emmanuel Nacho, and he's a beast. He's an offensive tackle. He's 6'7", 380 pounds. Which is an absolute unit of a human being. I think he's a little bit too heavy right now, so I was going to get into that. But his player comp that I believe it's on 247 as well, but I agreed with it. And it was Trent Brown. Trent Brown was a great player in the NFL for a while. He was a JUCO guy in high school, so little bit more highly touted as a 5-star, but he's got long arms. He's got elite size, and he's a big dude. I watched some of his film, and he was just road grading through defenders on his run. His run blocking is unbelievable. Although I will say he will need to improve his ability to handle speed. So edge rushers, that is like fast edge rushers with a lot of finesse, that tends to be a bit of a problem for him. But I think he'll develop quite a bit here at Oregon. He'll slim down, gain some more strength and speed. Our athletic department is one of the best in the country when it comes to getting guys in shape. And so I think he'll be ready. I also have like when I think that these guys will start, and then also their draft projections. But I think he'll actually play a little bit as a freshman, but I don't think he'll be a starter until sophomore year. So he's not going to be a guy like Josh Connerly, who was an immediate impact guy who went in the first round last year to the Commanders. But I think that he will play as a freshman, which is good for linemen.
Do you think he could be like a Janoris Wilson, like sixth lineman type of thing? Like
maybe.
End of the line guy.
Yeah, like Janoris Wilson, he has like I think 3 touchdowns, so he's a little bit more athletic. But I think Nacho will be one of the guys if somebody goes down on the offensive line. We are losing our entire offensive line to the draft basically this year, and so there's a chance that he comes in and starts. But our offensive line is really deep. We have a lot of guys even from a couple years ago that are ready to step up and take over. But he could definitely find his way onto the field. But that's kind of what I was saying. Like, he's a rotational guy as a freshman, but I don't think he'll be like a true starter until his sophomore year. And then with his draft projection, I believe that he'll get drafted. Don't know where, but I project in the top 3 rounds. He could very easily be a first-round pick if he develops his ability to handle speed. If he gets a little bit more athletic, he will very easily be a first-round pick. He's just a unit. Like, they don't make him at that size anymore, and he's just a beast. So yeah, that was my evaluation on Manny Nacho. Now we're going to talk about somebody who's really exciting.
Brennan, before you get off Nacho, do you think his you not thinking he's going to start his first year? Do you think that's due to his inability to handle speed, or is it you don't think he's going to be developed enough, like as a freshman, like strength wise, like?
No, I think he has the strength. He has the strength 100%. I mean, I watched this dude like straight up just like stiff arm dudes. Like, he wasn't even blocking them. He would just be stiff arming them and plant them on their butts. Like, it was unbelievable. If you go watch this film, he's nuts. I think he's just not gonna be able to handle enough speed. I think the speed from high school to college is completely different. And he's from Maryland, so he's not playing in Texas or even Arizona with like some of the best competition. So I think it's gonna be like, the way I see it is, I think Nasir Wyatt would absolutely cook him in practice. Like, I think one-on-one, Nasir Wyatt would get by him almost every time. Now, granted, I think Nasir Wyatt's going to be a stud next year for Oregon. He's going to be a beast. He'll be a draft guy. But, we're a big-time program. We want our guys to be able to handle the best of the best. And, he's young. And offensive line is kind of one of those positions where it's hard to be really good when you're really young. You see it with how we hit the portal really hard for offensive line every year. And so I think he's gonna have some competition with some portal guys, and I just don't know if he'll win right away. But
do you think that there's a chance that he gets kicked inside the guard due to his size?
Nah, he's too big. He's 6'7", 380 pounds. He's just too big to be. He's got to stay at tackle. He also has an insane arm length. Like, his reach is. I mean, he's just a unit of a man, and he's gonna be a beast. But I think he needs to develop just a little bit. So I think his ability to handle the speed and a slight amount of development, I think will go a long way. But
yeah, I think if we do see him start, it would be because of his size, and maybe that helps him out a little bit with handling those speed rushers, just being so massive that it's even hard to get around them. And if you do see him struggling early, I could see a lot of chip help, not letting them get outside right away, giving him a little bit more time to get to his base with his kick step. So I think there's definitely a path for him to start. But I mean, I feel like everything you said was pretty spot on. So
yeah, no, and Jamar Johnson's going to be probably our main tight end next year. The dude's a beast. He's basically an offensive lineman himself. So that's a good point with his ability to probably make it out there and chip with Jamar Johnson on that side. I mean, also, like, I'm not going to lie, who's stopping that run? That run, like, you run an outside zone with 6'7", 380-pound offensive lineman, and then a 6'9" tight end. Like, that's just guaranteed 5 yards every play. But moving on. So we're gonna go to somebody who I'm excited about. He will help us in not just football, but also in basketball, and that's Keandre Harrison. He is also 6'7", but he's 250 pounds. This dude's he's a freak athlete. He's one of the top basketball players in the country. He's a 4-star basketball player, a high 4-star basketball player, and he's the number 1 tight end in some websites for football. But my player comp for him was a more athletic Martellus Bennett, and that's just due to his size. He's got the same size as Martellus Bennett, but I think he's a lot more athletic. I mean, if you go look him up on X or whatever, like, you can see some of his highlights, and this dude can go up there and get the ball. Like, he has some elite, spectacular catch ability. And I think he has the potential to be the best tight end in the country with this combination of blocking ability and spectacular catching ability. Like, when I turned on his tape to watch, the first 10 highlights were him pancaking dudes, which you love to see that from your tight ends. Tight end is one of those positions where you have to be really versatile, and him being able to be an elite blocker. I don't even want to know what we can do as a rushing attack next year with Jordan Davison, De'Aaron Hill, and then 6'9" Jamari Johnson and 6'7", 250-pound Keandre Harrison. Like, this is scary. I think with him though again, we have Jamari Johnson next year. I don't think he'll start as the main tight end next year, but I think he'll rotate in as a freshman. I don't think he'll be a starter until about a sophomore year, where he'll really be the guy.
I mean, he could do what Jamari Johnson is doing this year too. Kenyon Sadiq is as the sort of 1B sort of guy. He's listed as a backup, but really he's a starter in those 12 personnel packages
for sure. And that's kind of what I mean. But I mean, like everybody in the country knows about Kenyon Sadiq. Not everybody knows about Jamari Johnson. You know what I mean? And
they will
I think that'll be this. That's what I'm saying. They will. And I think that's kind of how it's going to be with Keandre Harrison. I don't know if he'll have that kind of hype right away, but it will be deserved. This guy's he's a freak athlete. Like, he can jump and he can catch the ball. Like, his basketball background really helps him. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, as a goal line threat, like, you're throwing fades up to him, because I've seen some stuff about how the goal line fade is kind of, it's fizzing out in football, but this is a true fade ball guy on the goal line. Like, you have to guarantee at least you give him one chance every drive. If you're on the goal line, you have to give him a fade ball. Yeah.
Not gonna lie, Brendan, you kind of got me salivating of the idea of Nacho, Jamari Johnson, and Keandre Harrison all on the same side, down blocking for like a counter coming around.
Yeah.
It's gonna be gross. You have two fantastic run blocking tight ends. Really opens up your offense. You see with Sadiq and Jamari Johnson this year. Mm-hmm. You got just a younger version next year.
Yeah. And then when it comes to his future draft projection, I think I know he will get drafted just based off his athleticism. I do believe he's quite a raw player. I mean, when I was watching his film, he was playing against some kind of bums, but basically, like, his first 10 highlights were him just pancaking dudes, and then his next 5 were him catching screen passes and just taking them for 50-plus yards, because he's just so much bigger and faster and stronger than everybody else. So I think he's a really raw player who will need his skills fine-tuned. If he does, develop those skills, no doubt in my mind he won't be the first or second tight end off the board. I mean, with that size and speed, skill level, like, he's got the ability to be a Gronk type of player. Which I would argue is a pretty good player. But yeah, do you guys have anything else to add about Keandre? I'm gonna move on.
I think that this coaching staff knows. I mean, even with Stein leaving, this coaching staff knows how to develop tight ends, knows how to put them in positions to succeed. So I expect that to continue with him. For sure. All right, moving on to my favorite player that I watched, who is criminally underrated on the On3 website. If you're not looking at the overall for everyone, he's only a 4-star. And he's like the 112th player in the country. But I think he's the best player that we signed, and that's Jet Washington. He's 6'4", and he's a 200-pound safety who is related to Kobe Bryant. So that is it's a fun one. He's got the genes.
He does. He's got that. Hopefully, he has the clutch gene, kind of like Thyman. But anyways, so my player comp for him was Kyle Hamilton. You know, he's a big safety who you can have that will be able to guard. I mean, anybody. You can put him on a tight end. You can put him on a wide receiver. You can put him on a running back. Whatever. Like he's going to be able to guard anybody. And from what I saw, like, man, he is not afraid to lay hits. Like I think he'll be like a Joker position type of guy. If you like the Sean Payton defenses, he will be able to counter that role. The words that I used were he's a mismatch remover. So he removes any sort of mismatch. Like you put him out there and he can guard anybody. He has the size, he has the speed, and the athleticism to keep up with everybody. I think he'll be a great fit at Oregon. Oregon's done a pretty good job recently with safety. And he's going to be probably the best player, in my opinion, from this signing cycle. You know, he's a hard-hitting safety who's also an elite ball hawk. Like, sign me up. I think he's going to be a monster. He's going to be unbelievable at Oregon.
That's another position where Ducks have had very, very successful safeties. Thieneman, we've seen him ball out this year. So, yeah, it's another one where I expect that to continue.
Yeah, and even like historically, you know, you got Kobe Savage, I think, got drafted or signed at least. Brady Breeze, shout out. Obviously, Javon Holland. The Ducks are creating a pretty good
Evan Williams also. Evan Williams.
Yeah, and Evan Williams, he's doing great on the Packers. He's one of the best safeties in the you know, one of the most underrated safeties, I should say, in the league.
Yeah.
Jet Washington gets me really excited. I really like the Kyle Hamilton comp, but I would say he's even faster than Kyle Hamilton because that's like Kyle Hamilton's one drawback is he's not the fastest guy on the field. Like that's why he fell a little in draft. And Jet Washington, just a more athletic version of that. So hopefully, just develops into 90% of the player Kyle Hamilton is, and he'll be probably the best safety in the country if he does that.
Yeah, I'd say what he doesn't have in speed, Hamilton makes up for it in playing around the line of scrimmage. I don't think we'll see as much of that with Washington, but obviously he's super rangy, super fast, and that's 6'5" with the ball. When the ball's in the air and you're 6'5", you already have an advantage.
And Hamilton's intelligence cannot be understated. You saw it in college. He just was there before the receiver multiple times. He was a playmaker, so I'm excited to see if Jet can do that at this level.
Yeah, no, and Jet put on some really, really impressive tape, and he was playing for Bishop Gorman, so he played some high level competition. Like he's not playing around a bunch of high school kids who are not excited to go play football at the end of the day. So I'm excited to see what he does. He is my future draft projection. I have him as a first round pick. I think that he's going to be a 3-year guy. He will play. I think he'll rotate as a freshman. I think he'll have the role by the end of the year. Like he's going to be a Brandon Finney type of impact player right away. Like he's that good. And when you give him, hopefully all these guys get here in the spring, because I mean, with Nacho, with Keandre, with Jet, like these guys get those extra few months of training with the Ducks program. Like these guys will play right away. Like these guys will be studs.
Yeah, but Lanning's favorite quote is, "If you're good enough, you're old enough." So he keeps showing that with playing these true freshmen.
No, that's 100% how it is. All right.
Yeah, and just the future of the Oregon DB room with the length of Finney and Jet Washington, like that's scary scenes for anyone to game plan for, because, like you said, mismatch remover. And that's one of the most important things you can do in college football is have those hybrid roles to match personnel, so that way, like, you're at the advantage and the offense isn't dictating what you have to do as a defense. So
for sure.
Really excited about him as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on to Jalen Lott, who is a 5-star wide receiver. He's 6 foot and 170 pounds. He's from Texas, so he played some high level football. He was one of the receivers that we signed. He's a good player. I'm excited for him. His player comp that I gave him was Brandon Cooks, which is about the same size, similar skill set. Like no. He's just 6 foot, 170 pounds. So he's not like a huge guy. He's pretty lanky when I was watching him. So hopefully he can put on some weight. But he looks like kind of a slot threat. When I was watching this film, he was a weapon as a screen receiver. Like he was catching screens and just taking them to the crib every time. Like he was a stud. He reminds me a lot of Dak Moore in a way, which is a great player, and I'm excited for him. But I kind of wish we got a little bit more size at the receiver position. But what we do lack in the receiver position as size, we make up for in the tight end room. So, I think he'll still be a weapon. I don't know if he'll be a solidified starter until he's probably like a sophomore or junior is kind of where I have him. I believe that he can be a kick returner as a freshman, sophomore. He's really fast. And when I was watching his tape, this dude was playing corner at a high level. He was laying hits from the cornerback position. Like he was posting those. He was phenomenal kick returner. Like I watched him return, 4 or 5, kickoffs and punts to the house. So he's a good player. He's just an all-around athlete. I have him though as a late round draft selection. I believe he'll get drafted, but I don't believe it'll be anywhere super high. I have him kind of, the 5 to 7 range, you could say. I think he's a great player, but I don't know if he's going to be a super duper impact guy to the point where he'll be a first round pick. So we'll see how Oregon develops our receivers, but he's an exciting weapon to have.
Yeah, I think it's really. Oh, sorry, Bjorn. I was going to say, I think it's really telling how Dan is getting these guys that aren't afraid to hit. We're talking about the run blocking of Kendra Harrison. We see it with Dak Moore, the first game of the season. Finding receivers that are willing to block, willing to hit, finding corners that like Finney that is willing to come up and make big time tackles. And I think that really speaks to the culture Dan's trying to build here, that we're not going out and signing a bunch of fraudulent recruits like USC. We're actually like being intentional in who we're signing. And the other thing with I love what you said, Brendan, because one of the things that we're losing this year, Noah Whittington, our kick returner, he's going to be gone. Gary Bryant's going to be gone. Malik Benson's going to be gone. Like all these guys are going to be gone, and that opens up the role for Dak Moore, Jalen Lott, or someone like that to step up and be our punt and kick returner next year. So, I think you undervalue you're undervaluing him a little bit just because of his size. I think a lot of receivers have still found success with that small stature. Brandon Cooks, Dak Moore this year. So we'll just have to see how he develops. And he played great competition in Texas, and he's a human highlight reel as soon as he touches the ball. So I just hope we can develop him because that's ultimately probably part of the reason we lost Chris Henry. Is because we don't have a first round receiver, even though it's the beginning of Dan's tenure here. So I guess we'll just have to see with him.
Yeah, Brody, I think you hit it on the head with how he's going to contribute next season as a returner. And I think the luxury is that he doesn't need to contribute very much next season at receiver, because we're going to have Dak Moore. Jeremiah McClellan should be the solidified number 2. Evan Stewart, there's still a possibility that he comes back. That would be huge. And then Jamari Johnson as third, fourth option. And then Kyle Casper, Cooper Perry, those guys are talented. They could step up. So I think there's a luxury in that he can develop this year or this next year, get the ball in his hands in the return game and just keep developing, put on the pounds, put on the muscle, and be ready in sophomore year, 2027.
For sure. And then we also bring in Gatlin Blair, who's again, like another fast, big receiver. So I'm excited for him. But again, I feel like we're just recruiting a lot of the same skill set type of guys. Like it feels like we're just getting really fast, like slot receivers. And I love it. Like it's going to be exciting. But, I really do think missing on Chris Henry is a big loss, because I think Chris Henry Jr. will be a first round pick, no matter what way you put it. He's phenomenally talented. He has, his dad was in the league for a long time. Like he's going to be a beast.
Yeah.
And so I think he would have been our guy that's going to really, really take the Oregon receiving room to the next level. But we'll see. Jalen Lott, I'm excited for him. He's excited to be a Duck. So that's what matters to me the most. And I think he'll be impactful no matter what way you put it. Brady touched on his run blocking ability. Like, again, I hope he turns into a superstar, but he kind of feels like another Trayshawn Holden type of guy who's going to be a glue guy. Well, hopefully not spitting on people's faces, but he'll be a glue guy who will, be a good run blocker and a fast guy who can make plays. So we'll see, but I'm excited.
I think another thing we can't forget about is the transfer portal. They brought in receivers in the past, so I think there's going to be a veteran receiver that comes in. If they target a guy who's 6'3", 6'4", I think that would be very beneficial.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, we've done a good job in the past in the portal. I mean, the portal is kind of where we live. I mean, we go after our guys when it comes to recruiting. Danny's very particular, kind of like Brady mentioned. We're not like USC, but Dan will pick his guys that he wants to fill certain roles, which we've seen. I mean, with Nacho and Keandre and Jet, like these guys have very impactful roles on the team, and they will fill those roles. And then we hit the portal to get the big money makers, like those are the guys that are going to get turned into draft, like future draft guys, and improve their draft stock.
Yep.
But yeah. All right, we can move on because we have 3 more, so we can speed it up a little bit. Next up, we got Tank Jones. Dan Lanning loves to go to Alabama and just take the best players from that place. He loves to just put the state of Alabama in a locker. And so taking Tank Jones is he's a beast. He's a defensive end. He's 6'3", 245 pounds, very highly regarded player. He was, if you look at his top 5, it's Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, Oregon, and then somebody else. But it is good. And so he is somebody I'm excited about. My only concerns with him is I don't know where Dan's going to put him because he is only 6'3" for the defensive end position. He's very, very explosive and has phenomenal tackling ability. My player comp for him is like Harold Perkins. So Harold Perkins kind of early on in his career he's kind of like he transitions all over the field, and that's what Harold Perkins does. And I think Dan likes that on his defense. He really likes guys that are almost positionless, and it feels like Tank is kind of one of those guys. He may transition into interior backer, unless he develops some serious finesse or increases his speed on the edge. Then he'll be a guy, but it's a pretty loaded position for Oregon, and I really feel like him potentially developing into a interior linebacker will actually be really, really good for him.
He's the exact same size as Clay Matthews, and Clay Matthews obviously one of the best edge rushers of our time, but he played inside back for a little bit too. So, if he can grow into that role, that'd be fantastic. I think it was a similar thing we saw with Gavin Nix last year, Brendan, is you see this bend and this explosion from the middle backer position, and we're like, he might end up playing edge, and he's stepped in when he's needed to, and he's been absolutely killer. So I think it's players, like traits of players within them playing their position that he sees that can transition to another position. I feel like that's a skill of Dan that doesn't really get talked about, and something only elite high level coaches really have.
Yeah. I think Dan does a great job of finding what they're really good at and exploiting that and finding a way to put them in the best position to succeed. So I think Tank Jones actually made the right choice in coming to Oregon here. I think he's going to be able to find what is best for him. And he's just so explosive, man. Like he is also just a phenomenal tackler. Like if you watch his highlight reel, most of it is him chasing dudes down from the other side of the field, which those are the little things in football that Dan likes. Like he likes the receivers and tight ends who can block, which we've already kind of touched on. But then also the guys that are going to play defense and give it their 100% every single play and go make the tackle even when you're not involved in the play. Like he's one of those guys. So I'm excited for him. I think he's going to be a fun transitional player. Or he's going to transition a bunch between spots. Maybe. I could be wrong, but that's kind of how I see. I have him as a sophomore starter. I don't think he'll start right away, and he might redshirt. I don't know. So we'll see. Just because again, edge is a really loaded position, but I have him as a sophomore starter. So whether that's a redshirt sophomore or a true sophomore, I don't know yet. But I believe that's when he will start. Then also when it comes to his draft projection, I have him as a potential first 3-round draft pick. If you remember DJ Johnson back in the day, he was a 3rd-round pick to the Panthers. He's obviously a lot younger than him, but he kind of reminds me of him when he's just a freak athlete. And that's what Dan likes. But I think in that regard, he'll get drafted pretty high because of that. All right, moving on to Tony Cumberland. So he's a defensive lineman. He's 6'4", 285 pounds, and he's a 4-star recruit. And he was initially from Arizona, but then he moved. He's been playing up here at up in Oregon for the last 2 years. Yeah, Willamette High School, and he's a loyal Duck. He's been committed, I believe, for over 800 days. So this kid, he wants to come and play football at Oregon. My player comp for him is I think he's a Brandon Dorless type of guy. So if you remember Brandon Dorless a couple of years ago at Oregon, he was a interior guy, but he was also a really good pass rusher, which was kind of interesting because he's not like your guy that's just going to eat up space and be phenomenal against the run. I think he's just more of a versatile lineman, which again, Dan seems to really like the guys that they can move around the defensive line. Like you could ask Tatum Tuioti or Mateo to play interior defensive line, and they probably could. They're big enough, but it just seems like another kind of guy that Dan's going to like. I think he'll move around the D-line quite a bit. He'll be a great pass rusher from every location. He might struggle against the run just a little bit, but he'll still be good. I think if he puts on a little bit more strength, he'll be better there. I know that he completely reshaped his body in high school from how it was when he was down in Arizona to when he's up here in Oregon. And so I believe he's actually probably a little bit lighter than what he's listed as right now. And so he's playing quite a bit of edge when I was watching his film. But we'll see. I think that he probably won't be like a solidified starter until he's probably a junior. And when it comes to his draft selection, I think he'll be a late round pick, kind of like Dorless, a 5th round guy. That's about where I have him. Do you have anything to add about him?
Yeah, I think the transition from high school 5A in Oregon to, high school 5A in Oregon to playing D1 football that's going to be a challenge for him. But I mean, he'll, like you said, Brendan, junior year, that's when you expect him to contribute. So I would put him on that same timeline. It's going to be tough. Not even playing in this for the top classification in Oregon. So yeah, that's my take on him. But.
No, and the other thing is actually when he initially was getting recruited, he burst onto the scene as a freshman and a sophomore year, like when way back in the day, and he was playing like one of the top. He's playing in the top conference in Arizona, which Arizona is one of the better places in the country for high school football. And so it was a little bit. I mean, he wanted to come to Oregon, so it makes sense that he lives here now. But I was a little surprised to see his numbers were so great, but they weren't as good as you would think. Because his numbers in Arizona against better competition were actually just as good, if not better. So I was a little bit confused. But I think part of that was, again, him kind of switching around his positions. And he was changing his body substantially. Like he went through some serious physical changes. So I think he just needs a little bit of time to grow and do fill his shoes again, and to figure out who he is as a player. So I think that's kind of also why I have him a little bit later on.
Yeah. I mean, what you're saying, Brandon's kind of reminded me of Cam Jordan, someone who can play, defensive end or slide down to a 3-tech or maybe even play a 1-tech on pass rush down. So it might take him a couple years because, like you said, Bjorn, I've played in 5A football here. It's not the greatest competition of all time, but you do find some players that, left tackles like Brendan Michael Everly absolutely lock up and end up going and play D1 football. So end up being pretty good. And so I think just give him time to develop with our strength and conditioning program. He has some measurables. So
for sure.
Yeah, just anyone that's versatile. I believe Dan's going to use them, and I think he'll end up being a contributor.
Yeah, that seems to be the theme of this recruiting cycle because I'm going to be talking about Devon Benjamin now, who was a defensive back, 5'11", 180 out of California. And again, this guy is another just versatile guy. His player comp, who I hope he is, this is more of I don't know what he'll actually play, but I believe that he'll probably be a nickel guy, and I hope he plays like Nico Reed. I really do. I think that he can be a better version of him. And Nico Reed was great. He plays in the NFL, and that's kind of all you ask for out of your guys is that they go and play in the NFL. But I think Devon Benjamin can be a beast. He's a ball hawk. He makes plays. He'll play the nickel position. He's got great speed and the ability to make big plays. He Does need to put on a little bit of weight, I would say. But again, that seems like a strength and conditioning situation. And I've seen him lay the wood a few times, which again, you love to see that from your defensive backs, guys that's not afraid to go out there and hit. And again, since he's got to put on a little bit of size, I think he won't be starting until he's probably a sophomore or a junior. And I have him as kind of a late round draft selection, but he could go higher. But again, Dan just likes to recruit the guys that are very, very versatile. And this is, again, one of those guys who's you can play him at corner, you can play him at safety, you can play him in nickel, you can move him around. And so I think that was the theme of this draft of this not draft class, of this signing day class, because it just feels like these guys are almost positionless. You can put them wherever and you'll find a way on the field, which I think is a good approach that Dan is taking, because it allows for these guys to, find their own personality as a football player. So
yeah, I think we started to see that trend in football with Isaiah Simmons at Clemson, and he kind of got to the league and no one really knew what to do with him. Is he a safety or linebacker? And that eventually transitioned into Kyle Hamilton. I feel like modern defenses are slowly evolving to this positionless football, and is getting some really high-level football on the field, and is making it absolute hell for offenses. Like, it is hard to game plan against people that can do everything. And Devon Benjamin, some of the most fluid hips you'll see. I think the only thing holding him back from being a potential first or second round pick, or even a 5-star right now, is arm length. So can combat that with size, so he can be a little bit more physical at the line of scrimmage. But being a willing tackler and coming to Oregon to develop your strength and conditioning, I think it's a great fit and choice. And it would not surprise me if we saw him on the field a little bit next year, just like Offord. Man, the DB room at Oregon, I wouldn't be surprised if we have, 6 to 8 guys within the next 3 to 4 years get drafted in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft. Like, there's so much talent in this room. And Devon Benjamin is definitely going to be a part of that room.
No, yeah, that's what I was going to mention, is that, like, the depth in the room is so strong. They don't need him to contribute. It's like the wide receiver position. And just like the wide receiver position, they brought in transfers at the cornerback position, and Theron Johnson, Northwestern, Jaden Kennedy, Ole Miss. So I expect them to bring in more veterans that can fill those spots and further develop the youngsters.
Well, that's kind of how I feel with those positions, like corner and offensive line, and even defensive line, but not as much defensive line. But anyways, when it comes to corner and like offensive line, like there is a lot of value in experience, more so than I think quarterback or receiver or running back. And so I think that, what we do at Oregon is we bring in a lot of guys, and guys learn from that. Being able to sit back and learn a year that's important, because you do get reps against a guy who's going to go play in the league. Like, if you're a defensive end that's coming in to come in and play at Oregon, you're going to be going against 5 offensive linemen who are going to be top 3 round draft picks in the NFL draft. Like, you really do get the best of the best competition wise.
Definitely. Is that it for you guys, Brendan?
Yeah. I hold on. One last thing with Devon Benjamin. Brady said that he was not a 5-star. Devon Benjamin actually is a 5-star on a couple sites. So he's a highly talented corner. But yeah, no, he's a beast. Okay. I'm excited. Our DB room is very talented. Something that's actually really underrated about Oregon is, I think, our DB room. The last 3 or 4 years, we've had guys get drafted pretty high. Kyrie Jackson unfortunately passed away. But we've had Evan Williams, who we mentioned earlier,
Gonzalez.
A guy named Christian Gonzalez, who's, you could argue he's pretty good at football. So, Oregon's done a really good job with turning transfer guys into beasts. Even Jabbar Muhammad last year was a solid player, but
Kennedy will get drafted. Thieneman's going to get drafted
for sure.
High. Yeah.
And then also you look at like a guy like Iffy, and then as well as Brandon Finney, like those dudes are going to get drafted for sure. And it's unfortunate because we were looking at there's just so much depth in the quarter room. Like, you bring in guys who I think are going to be impactful, and just unfortunately just can't find the field because of it. But
Brent,
Yeah.
you're forgetting the most impactful Duck of all time.
Triquez
Bridges.
Bridges. Yeah, Florida legend. But he was Triquez Bridges was actually a ball hawk. People did not realize that. He had like 9 interceptions at Oregon. But yeah. He plays in the NFL. Former Duck plays in the NFL. He plays for the Cowboys.
Yeah, Pro Ducks.
Yeah, Pro Ducks, baby. Yeah.
Is that it for recruiting?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, so we got some housekeeping things. So obviously Will Stein, offense coordinator, was hired by Kentucky. Ducks just recently, within the last couple hours, announced that Drew Maringer, who is the co-offensive coordinator and tight ends coach, will be the new offensive coordinator. That'll come after the college football playoff because both Tosh Lupoi and Will Stein, the OC and DC, they'll stay on and coach. So that's good. That's good for the team. We'll see if that, Lanning has such a strong hold on the culture of this program that you wouldn't think that'd be a distraction. But Lupoi and Stein, their energy is going to be in 2 different places. So that is something to continue to monitor and see how that affects them.
To be honest with you, it is something to monitor, but I really think that it's not a Lane Kiffin situation. It's Dan Lanning.
There's no bad blood.
No, none at all. Like, in fact, I mean, these guys are happy for Tosh and for the OC, but like, it's a good thing, I think, because it's like, hey, we still have our offensive and defensive coordinator who are committed to winning a national championship, and really, it benefits them, like Will Stein and Tosh, because if they win a national championship here at Oregon this year, that is actually a recruiting pitch that they can use, because they were a part of the roster that won. It may not show up in Cal's trophy box or Kentucky's trophy box, but their names will be talked about when it comes to winning a national championship here at Oregon, which is a big deal. So I think it plays to their benefit, but you mentioned it. Dan's got a really good hold on the culture here. I don't think it'll be a distraction.
Yeah, I think
you got it.
I was going to say, one of the most impressive things about this recruiting class, and Stein and Lupoi both leaving, is we didn't lose a single recruit.
No.
I feel like a lot of other schools, when they lose a coordinator, it's a lot bigger deal. And Lupoi is one of the probably top 5 recruiters in the sport, regardless of head coach or coordinator position. He's a fantastic recruiter. That's what he's known for. And to not lose a single recruit because of the faith they have in Dan and in this program and the culture, I mean, it just gets you really excited as an Oregon fan.
Definitely. Yeah, and more on Maringer. He's been around the block. He's been at Iowa State, Ohio State, James Madison, Houston, Texas, Rutgers, FAU, and New Mexico. Hired in January of 2022. So he's been with this program for a while. He knows the culture. I think that's going to benefit them from having an in-house guy. When Lanning hired him, he said he was one of the top young offensive minds in college football. So obviously he's been around him for 3 years. He knows even more about him now and trusts him. So I think it's a good hire. And now the defense coordinator position is also expected to be an in-house hire. What do you guys think about? What are you guys' opinions about keeping both positions in-house and not really exploring other options as much?
I mean, yeah, I can go first. I think that Dan probably did look outside, but I think we have a lot of talent in-house. A lot of people were lobbying for Samples to be the offensive coordinator and be promoted. But, I mean, Drew, he has that play calling experience. I think that's overly what got him the job over Samples. And Samples is still so young. He still probably has a lot of room to grow. So I can definitely see him becoming the coordinator 2 or 3 years down the line if Drew gets hired anywhere else. And he also, just like as an offensive coordinator, you want to have a grasp on a bunch of different positions. And Drew has shown that he can coach a bunch of different positions and he understands the offense as a whole. And maybe that's where we saw like Dan maybe think Samples was lacking. And I still think Samples is probably one of the best offensive minds in the sport coming up, at least. And he'll probably end up being co-OC with Drew. And I think it will end up being a good hire, and he will probably be a head coach within 2 to 3 years.
I have heard
we'll see.
Yeah, I have heard buzz of Samples being an option for other schools across the country. So that's also something to look out for. Is he was in the running for this job, so that shows that he's qualified to be an OC somewhere else, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Samples, I really hope he doesn't leave because he's a great recruiter. I would be kind of heartbroken if he left, but I believe what the goal is that we have Meringer for these next couple years, and then we hopefully move to Samples. Because I think Dan right now he's doing a good job of. I think the reason why he's bringing guys up that are in house is I think he's doing a good job of trying to build his own coaching tree, and that's something that's important. I mean, it happened with him because he was a grad guy at Alabama with Nick Saban, so he's kind of he kind of knows how it works, and yeah, I think it's a good hire just because you keep guys in house, it's just smoother the process. You don't got to worry. I mean, I'm sure that they did look out elsewhere, but
yeah,
I think it's a good hire.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, if you guys are ready, we can wrap this up. Hour 6 minutes, solid pod.
Yeah.
We'll have 2 episodes a week for the next couple weeks, and obviously break down the college football playoff in our next podcast. That'll come out probably Sunday or Monday, so be on the lookout for that. What's up, Duck Nation? Heck yeah! All right. Thank you for listening and watching to Oregon Ducks Live on the Voice of College Football. Signing out.
Peace.